What's up? What's up?
Hey, what's going on, James? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, you all, we're here with another episode of James Massey Live, where I'm interviewing agents that are killing it within the industry and within their field in order to provide tremendous value for the agent that's looking to grow and actually build. And I am here today with my good friend here, Nick Devito. Nick, man, I think the last time we saw each other, we hung out in Vegas, right?
That's correct. That would be correct. Yes, and luckily there was not a lot of pictures of that night or
Yeah,
nights.
we're gonna keep that. We're gonna keep everything ourselves on that night. But we did have a good time. We're gonna leave it at that, though.
Yes, sir. Yes, we did. A lot of us had a good time.
A lot of us did. You're right. You're right. Don't tell secrets.
No, please no.
So man, like, all right. So we've known each other. We've known of each other before. Got to really know each other at that particular time. Got to talking a lot. I've seen you on a lot of different things, man. But for those that don't know, can you kind of tell your origins? You know, what kind of got you into real estate, and what made you get into this journey?
Sure. Well, about almost 20 years ago now, I was running a huge billion-dollar construction company, and I would have to travel 5 days a week. And I was recently divorced, and I wasn't able to see my kids. And they pay you a lot of money to get on these planes every week and go to different places, which was wonderful. But I happened to be dating a girl at the time who's now my wife, Cindy, and she said, "Listen, you gotta get a new profession." And I said, "Well, new profession? It's not just something you do." So this almost 20 years ago now, in August, I quit my job and I took my real estate classes, and I spent 10 years at a large brokerage firm. I was number one agent there, which was wonderful. I loved every minute of it. And then 5 years at another firm, and I ran when I started, it was the number 19 team in the world. We got them all the way up to number two, selling about 600 houses a year. We had a ton of fun. That was a 5 year stint. So that's 15 of my 18, 19-year career. And then the last 3 years, this crazy guy by the name of Al Stasic gave me a call, and we were playing. If you know anything about Cleveland, you see my flag back there, Ohio State from Ohio. He goes, "Hey, we should go play Top Golf. They just opened this up. This is January, so it's probably 12 degrees and a foot of snow." And I said, "Al, I've never played Top Golf before, but isn't it outside?" He goes, "Yeah, it'll be fun." I go, "It didn't sound like fun." I think it was 12 degrees without the wind chill. And we sat down and we talked about real estate. Al's been, my mentor and a great guy, a lot of our mentors for many, many years. And he just said, are you going to help yourself or are you going to help others? And you got to think about that, of what you're doing on this planet. And are you just accumulating these little green pieces of paper to become happy? Because that's not going to make you happy. And we had a great conversation. We probably sat there for 4 hours. I hit a couple golf balls in the snow in Cleveland in January. I'll never forget. And then that month I left, January 10th of 2020. It's been just over 3 years, just started my third year anniversary. And I couldn't be happier. It's been a wonderful career. It's been a wonderful life. My wife was correct. I probably should have done real estate out of high school or college, but you don't know till you know. And I couldn't be more excited to meet people like you, James, and from all over the world. And EXP has really brought us all together, which is unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I totally agree with that. But I mean, that was a pretty big leap of faith, man, just to quit the job and go get your license. No, most people they stay on the job and they go get their license and they try to work themselves off the job. Like, what was that whole thought process?
So I didn't have that choice. I hate to say this, but the problem was my full-time job was out of the state of Ohio, and this is before online classes. I know some of the millennials will laugh. They're like, "What do you mean you couldn't do classes online?" But the point is I had to go to real estate school for 3 weeks and sit in class 5 days a week for 3 or 4 weeks now to get my license. And I couldn't keep my job because my job was traveling out of state. So I literally had to stop everything I was doing, which meant stopping my income. And then take a huge leap of faith. And then I started with a franchise that charged me $1,600 a month to be there, just as a desk fee, if you will. And boy, I'll never forget making those payments and thinking this was the dumbest financial move of my life. And I don't know if I'm ever going to get out of it, but everything worked out well. I worked hard. I remember my first two brokers sat me down and said, "Well, who are you going to call?" And I said, "It's my first day on the job. I just got licensed." And they said, "Well, here's the phone book." And I said, "I'm not calling people out of the phone book. I don't know about real estate. I don't even know anything about real estate." And this is about 2005, right before the recession. And they said, well, you better start calling someone because you're not going to make any money. And so I started calling my friends and family and said, hey, I just got licensed. Can you help me out? And luckily they took pity on me, and they did. And now almost 20 years later, I've been somewhat successful.
Man, that's pretty cool, man. So all right, so you actually got the courage to start making these phone calls, like because you had no other choice, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so many people, I talk to them all the time. It's like, they're agents and they're trying to, pull their business up, whether, maybe they're already kind of successful, maybe they're not successful at all. But the thing of it is like you tell them like, hey, you got to start making phone calls, you got to start prospecting, and that's like the biggest fear, right? You know,
Yes.
is it when you pull the rug from under you, or what Al says, like burn the boats? I mean, you don't have time to fear anything.
No, I mean, my choices were. I think at that time, like I said, I went through a divorce, and I think my alimony payments were 2,000. My child support was 2,500. My mortgage was $2,000. I think I was $7,000 plus $1,650 a month to Remax. I think I was $7,000 in the hole before making any money, before having any sales. And so I had no choice. I felt like someone was holding my head under the water in the ocean, and the only way I was going to get up was to sell something. And actually, it's kind of a funny story. So yes, I called my friends. I didn't do any cold calling. I just called people I knew, and then I went door knocking. And this is something I think of a lost art, especially in this time frame. I think we should do more of that, especially with the low amount of inventory. But my first, and it probably should have been my last, but it wasn't because I'm hard headed. I remember door knocking someone that had a for sale by owner sign, and I said, "Well, I can help these people." I didn't know who it was. It happened to be a single guy, and I door knocked, and it's probably 8, 9 in the morning. I didn't know this, and he answered the door in his shorts, just a short pair of shorts and a gun. And you can hear a dog barking, and I'm like, maybe this was the wrong door to knock on. So he came, he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, well, I'm Nick Devito and I'm a realtor." And he said, "It says for sale by owner. Do you have a buyer?" I'm like, "No, I want to come list your house." And he's like, "Don't ever come knock on this door again. I'm a police officer." That's why he had his gun, which is perfectly fine. He wasn't aiming it at me, thank God. And he said, "Don't ever knock on this door again. My dog's here. He's got a huge German Shepherd. He's got his gun. He's in his shorts." And I'm like, he slams the door in my face, and I go back, and I'm going to walk to my car or walk and go door knock somewhere else. And I said, "Wait a second. This is a defining moment in my career. I'm 30 years old. I have no sales, no inventory, no buyers, no sellers." So I walk around this guy's side door, and I knock on the door, and he's like, "You must be some kind of moron." And I said, "Listen, I just wanted you to know, sir, there's a real jerk answering your front door. And if it was me, I would want to know that." He started laughing. He was like, I didn't know this at the time. He said, "Please," he brings me in, cup of coffee, the whole 9 yards. I ended up listing and selling his house. I double-ended my, second deal I ever did in my life. It was such a great story. And that guy today still refers me business almost 20 years later. But, I could have walked away from his front door and never looked back and it probably would have, I hate to say this, failed in real estate, because I wasn't going to take no for an answer. And I knew I could help this gentleman, and I did. And we became great friends, now 18, 19 years later.
Man, it's those type of defining moments that really, determine, like you said, the success or failure. Like you had that gut check. And, a lot of people, what they end up doing, they'll just get in the car and they'll just go somewhere else.
Right.
But you decided you was gonna go knock back on that door and say the funniest line, the craziest thing that anybody would probably ever say to a dude in shorts with a pistol.
Well, and to be honest, that was the PG version. I said something a little bit more, off color, if you will, and thank goodness he laughed, because one of two things was going to happen. He was going to invite me in, or he was going to shoot me. And I figured it's a lot of paperwork when a police officer has to shoot someone. I know that much. So I'm glad he took the former, not the latter. But he ended up being just a great. We ended up playing softball together, and
Wow.
It's just a crazy turn of events. But you're right. If I would have taken no the first time, which happens a lot, we call people, we talk to people. "No, I'm not looking to sell. No, I'm not looking to buy." Great. Well, when you are, let me know. And are you sure you're not looking? Because I see you're in an open house, and this house is for sale. I mean, it's just a constant reflex. It's just no. It's like walking up to someone at a store. The difference between when people go up to the store, when I go to a store and someone goes, "Can I help you?" I'll go, "Yes, this is what I'm looking for. This is the list I need to get." Other people are like, "No, you can't help me." Why not? They're in the store. You're looking to buy something. I guess maybe people are just window shopping, but me, I'm looking for that help. Hey, you want to help me? Here's my list. Can you help me out? And most of them are very, very helpful if you just ask. So
Love it, man. All right, so you get your license, like, you know what I'm saying, you kind of cut your teeth on, you know, making some phone calls, you know, sphere of influence, door knocking, things of that nature. How did you end up getting to the point where, you know, now you're running the team?
So, 10 years with Remax, I became the number one agent in the office. I'm very proud of that. And then I got approached by someone at BHHS, and they said, "Hey, would you like to run my team?" And I said no about 3 times, honestly, because I knew what it'd take. And it wasn't my team. Not that I mattered. I didn't need my name in lights or anything like that. But his team at the time had 20 people and probably selling 200 homes. And I said, that's something I don't want to do. It's kind of like a babysitting job, right? I mean, I didn't know about teams. I was never on a team, so I didn't understand. And he was very persuasive. And he said, "Hey, listen, I'll pay you a salary and benefits and bonuses, and you could still sell real estate." And I said, "Well," I said, I should give this a try. I shouldn't just say no, because how am I going to grow more as a person or a leader if I don't try something? So after 10 years of being on my own, I started to run this team, and they gave me a big title of chief recruiting officer. Well, let me tell you that the higher the title means the more service you do. So if you're the CEO, you just work harder. So the guy who ran the team, Michael, and we were business partners, and I grew the team from 20 agents to 60 agents, and I managed everything, all the day-to-day operations, all the sales. We would go on sales calls and things like that with the brand new agents and tell them. And it was a lot of fun, and it was a lot of work. And I enjoyed every minute of it. I really did. And I honed my skills. I never had a coach before, and he turned me on to professional coaching, Mike Ferry and some other coaches that were just, in this industry, if you don't have a coach or if you're not working with a mentor, you really should be, because you're going to become a better person for it. And so that kind of coaching and training and mentorship that I had, just those 5 years, was just unbelievable. And after that 5-year stint, which I loved every minute of it, I said, I just need to change something. I want to help people, but I want to help people try to get to retirement. I've been very successful that I've been able to buy some rental properties and do some other things. But I said, I can't make other people wealthy in the position I was at. And so when Al and I sat down and we discussed about EXP and the brokerage and cloud-based, and by the way, this is January of 20 before COVID. So it was a little different times than it is today. Now a cloud-based brokerage makes sense. And in January of 20, 2 months before COVID hit, people were like, cloud-based sounds stupid. You have 2,000 agents or 4,000 agents worldwide. You can't compete with the big boys. I mean, it was a different time 3 years ago, which is ironic because 3 years is not a long time. And so then my success kind of grew, and I brought some people on, and Al, I was the chief recruiting officer for Honey Badger Nation for about 24 months, about 2 years, my first 2 years with EXP. And that was a lot of fun. And Al and Jay and Mike Reese and John Kitchens, they've all been instrumental in my success.
Yeah. So, I mean, so just kind of going back and like going forward at the same time, this whole topic for today that we were looking at was just basically how to actually build a business by recruiting. And you learned that whole process growing from 20 agents to 60 agents within the time frame from the other one, which led you into the whole thing with John and Michael and and Al, going that aspect of it. Like what are some of the key things that you learned that that helps an agent that wants to either build a team, build an organization, an EXP, or just expand to like getting buyers agents or listing agents, on a smaller level or bigger
Well,
level?
that's a great question, James. Thanks for asking it. And actually, I think it was when we met in Vegas, someone gave me a book, and this is going to be a long-winded answer, but I'll get there. Someone gave me a book, and the book was called Untrapped by Brian Carruthers or Brian Caruso. I forget his name. Anyway, I know you've read it. It's about how you make money. There's either linear, you sell a house, you get paid; leverage, I recruit an agent underneath me and I get a percentage of what they do; or a passive income, which is obviously you do something once, you get paid for a lifetime. And it's just a weird dynamics when you read this book, and he discusses EXP, which is kind of ironic, although he was never in the organization. And so what I learned is if I could help more people get from point A to point 3 or passive income, it would really benefit not only myself, but more importantly them. It's like the difference between giving someone a fish and letting him eat for a day, or teaching someone how to fish, and then she eats for a lifetime. And that was a huge kind of dynamics. And I had been with the company for a year or so when I went to that event, and I thought I knew I probably thought I knew more than I did. And I just humbled myself. I read this book. I actually read it in one night. It's not a very long book. And I just said, I'm going to flip the switch, if you will. And I said, I'm going to change from being worrying about this to worrying about the masses, and see how many people I can help. And since I did that about a year ago now, give or take, it has really changed a lot for me. And when people approach me or something, I always think it's not the glass is half full, the glass is half empty. The glass is refillable always. And that's a great point. And I'm not proprietary to that. Someone said it and I'm stealing it. But the other thing is, these guys in EXP in Texas approached me and talk about success and leverage at the end of last year. And I didn't understand what they were talking about. And I said, I want to grow a group of people, and I want to sell more real estate, and I want to build large teams and organizations. And I didn't understand what they were doing, but their company, it's called ROI, competes with a company called BNI. And ROI is real estate outside and in, and it's a networking group. And so the real estate agent gets to run these networking groups. And I, in the last four months, was able to leverage that to 15 listings for me, which made me cap, as you know, and now on the way to Icon. And that kind of stuff is, I don't think I would have had the mindset to run a networking group or start. And these guys approached me and I said, well, they're agents like I am, just in Texas, and I'm in Ohio. I said, if they can do it in Texas, why can't I do it in Ohio? And so that really this networking group has really honed some other things. It's ironic. We have a 20-person group and 3 of them became realtors. That is 100% because of me. And I told them, I said, it's a tough profession, but it's so rewarding that long-term you'll be happy you did it. So I just think, getting from A to B, and sometimes you got to take a step backwards to go 3 steps forwards. And it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not fun. It's not safe. It hurts your bank account. I mean, there's so many things that could go wrong. But the rewarding aspect of our industry and working hard and helping someone find a house that maybe off market or something like that, it just, you can't make it up. It's just so rewarding. That's why I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I just think the whole process of transitioning, like you said, like creating leverage. I mean, it's going to lead you in this path regardless. So, you start off as a single agent, you start working with buyers, right? Then you start realizing, you're driving around a lot of time. You want a little bit more of your time, so you say, I want to go ahead and get some sellers, right? So then you start trying to figure out how to work with sellers. You start doing that. Then you're doing that part of it. Now you get to the point where it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna try this team thing out and build me a team, because I want more leverage, I want more time, I want more
Right.
freedom. So you get a team. And then, you find that you got to babysit some people and stuff like that. And you always training your competition. You got people to leave the team and things of that nature. The next level, like some people, they'll say, well, I want my own brokerage, and they go do that, and they start realizing that was a big headache. But like, this EXP thing allows you to expand like globally if you want to, just having, multiple people, and everybody has the opportunity to be who you are. The individual agent, they never had an opportunity to be the team leader, right?
Right.
That individual agent never had the opportunity to be part ownership within the brokerage normally, right? Where this right here model allows you to do all of that at the same time while everybody's being able to benefit from it. And that's really what you're saying, right?
Absolutely. It's 100% what I'm saying. And even people that don't want to come in at the beginning, I didn't recruit anyone for myself. I actually recruited for Jay, Michael, and Al, which is fine. I mean, that's because that was my title as the chief recruiting officer for Honey Badger Nation. But what I realized is they were just grooming me to do it for myself.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that at the time. I said, well, they're paying me to do it, and I'm excited about it. And I get to meet people all over the world. I mean, like yourself, which is wonderful, and all the Honey Badgers and everyone else at EXP. But they were just basically saying, we're going to get you from here to here to here. And I didn't know it. And finally, when I left that position, obviously stay with EXP, I was so excited and thrilled. And I said, well, if I was doing it for these guys, why can't I just do it for myself? And I learned that, there's some people that want to start a team, and there's some people that want that liability. I personally didn't want that liability anymore after running a team for 5 years, but there are a lot of agents I've brought into EXP that now want to build a team and do the right things. And I say, listen, if you put A, B, and C and have your steps together, we'll do it. And I'll help you succeed. And I think the collaboration, I was on a Zoom call yesterday with a young man, I think, Phil Stringer. And
Yeah.
we're talking about AI. And I promise you, I am not the most tech savvy person in the world, as you know. And so we're talking about the stuff and chat GPT and all these things. And I'm just focused on how it can help me either sell more houses or bring agents to this experience. And EXP is such a dynamic, because people don't understand, no one's going to make you recruit or call people if you don't want to reach out to someone. That's fine. For the first 2 years I was here, I never recruited anyone for myself. Now that's all I do. And obviously I still sell real estate when I want to, but that's the thing. It brings you back your life, your time, and leverage. The leverage and the passive income, it just, you can't beat it. And there's no brokerage on the planet like it. I'm so excited to be here, to be partners with you and your partners. And I know you have hundreds of them, I think, or maybe more. Are you up to 1,000 yet, or where are you at?
1026.
That's so, James. That's so unbelievable. And I know you've been in real estate a long time and very successful, and selling houses is wonderful. But now you're impacting 1,026 people's lives every day. And just this podcast, I hope they all get to see it. And I'm just so proud of your success. Man, that's unbelievable. It really is. It's truly
Thank you,
wonderful.
man. It's honestly, it's just being being connected with great folks, man. Like, I mean, we got a great group of people, and that support each other and give back, and I mean, the organization continue to grow. I mean, and you're part, like, people like yourself, people like Jay, Mike, all these people. That's everybody that's involved, and it just kind of builds into itself. And I already know, man, just from the way you talking, that I mean, it's about to happen. It's definitely gonna happen, man.
It's
So
exciting.
let me ask you. So all right. So let's say I'm an agent and I realize, like, all right, so I have to create leverage, right? Either I want to build this organization thing out that we got going on with EXP, or if I'm just want to build a team. What are some of the things that gets agents comfortable enough to partner with you? With, like, because I get a lot of people like, man, how to do it. I want to do it. I just don't quite understand how to do it. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to get them to connect or trust or whatever. Like what are some things and stuff that you've done to make them connect with you and say, hey, I want to be part of your team, or hey, I want to be part of your brokerage, or hey, I want to be part of your organization.
Well, I think what the funny thing is, most of us, and I did it wrong for years. Most of us, what I do is we want to go out and say, hey, we're at the best brokerage on the planet. If you come here, you'll be more successful. It's probably the worst thing you could do. What you need to do is have a connection with someone. So I like to play golf. As you can see, I got my golf shirt on today. I'm going to go golf after this. And, so you need to get to know people, and you need to ask questions, and you need to find, where their pressure points are, and say, what are you looking to do? And if you can help someone, whether they're at our brokerage or not, or wherever it is, then I think you're doing the right things. And once they realize that when you're talking to them, you care about their success genuinely, not about just bringing them over so they can be someone in our organization. When you care about people, then they open up and say, well, actually, this is what I really need help with. I don't know how to cold call. I'm scared to go door knock. Well, you go door knock with them, or you cold call with them. I can't tell you how many three-way cold calls I've made in my almost 20-year career now with agents I was training. But you know what else? Sometimes people hang up the phone. Sometimes I swear at you. Sometimes, it's okay. No one died because someone swore at you on the phone that you never met and will never see again for making a cold call. But you got to get out of that, box, if you will. We all have this, oh, this is hard to do, or I've never done it. Well, if you've never done it, just try it once. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. I always tell my children, I'm lucky enough, I have a beautiful wife and a father of three, 26, 23, and a 15-year-old. And I always tell my children, you got to eat the frog first thing in the morning. And if you know, that saying is, if you're worried about something and you go to bed at night and you wake up, you're still going to be worried about it. I promise you, it's going to be first. And if you say, man, I don't want to make these 15 calls to these agents, or I don't want to call these expired lists today, or I don't want to do that first. I don't care if it's 5, 6, 7, get that out of the way. And if that was what was bothering you, I promise you the rest of your day is going to be better. It's going to be better, more fulfilled. You're going to get so much done. And it's just, you got to do the hard things first. And then when you knock them out, you're so accomplished. You're like, look, I did it. It wasn't that hard. No one died because I had to make 10 calls to people I didn't know. So that's the key is doing the hard things. I think early in the morning, I wake up every morning, 5 in the morning, put on my coffee. I go in the hot tub. I loosen up. I'm 49 years old. You wake up and you're stiff. So you got to go and I relax a little bit. I drink my coffee. I get to work. By 6 a.m., I'm doing emails, doing things, the stuff that people are, do you sleep? Well, yeah, I'm up till midnight usually, but I got to get this stuff done. These are important for my clients or for my teammates or my people in my organization. They expect this from me. And as a leader, you gotta pull your hand down and pull as many people up as you can. I know a lot of people, Al and Michael and Jay and John, they've been pulling me up for 2.5, 3 years. And now it's a little easier, but it was a struggle for them at the beginning. They're like, hey, why don't you talk to someone? I'm like, I'm not doing that. It was just different. I never had to do that before. So, the unknowns can be a little bit scary, but I promise you, if you take them head on or eat that frog first thing in the morning, it'll make the rest of the day that much better.
Do you find yourself like more engaged or more motivated when other people are dependent on you?
I do. I know that people, if people don't sell houses in my organization, then their families don't eat or something like that, or they don't pay the mortgage payment. So I really do. The more people that are dependent on me, the better I feel. As with a big organization, get text messages. Text messages all the time, phone calls. I have a Calendly link now. People can get on my calendar, which I always thought, why does Al and Jay and Michael have a Calendly link? Then they're like, well, you're going to have one. I'm like, no, I don't. And then, sure, I do. I do. I feel like if people are dependent on me, I have to lead from an example, lead from the top and bring them with me. And the more successful I've become, the more I've tried to help more people. And that's really wonderful. And that's what our organization is all about.
Love it, man. Love it. I find, man, it's so much easier just to freaking copy. And I used to fight all this stuff at first, and you start looking back and you start thinking about your own way, and I just like, look, man, like this is where they are, this is where I want to be. All right, what you do? Just tell me, just give me the blueprint. I'm just gonna do it, and then I'll determine if the whole thing works afterward or whatever. But I'm just gonna do it. But most of the time, it works. So.
Well, it's so funny you say that because I remember listening to Jay Kinder say on one podcast or something, he said, someone asked him, which I thought was an excellent question, like, how many people did you talk to about EXP in your first year? And I think his answer, and I don't know if you ever remember this podcast, I think his answer was like 900. Like 900 people. Well, do you think that's a correlation of why he has 7,000 people in his organization today? Now, I'm sure that, 800 of those people said no. Yep. But 100 either said yes or maybe, or we'll talk later. And to me, the other thing about being successful, James, as you know, is having the right systems in place. I was a realtor before I came to EXP for 15 years, and I never had a system in place for a CRM or this or that, how to do things and flow charts and now I can't believe, I had any success at all without those things in place. And I didn't learn those things until people here said, you got to do the right things in the right order and have the right systems. And I'm thinking, well, what's the right system? I got email, I have text. No, I now have a tracked ROI, or I have StreamYard, or I have this. I probably work on four different ones a day. And I don't even know how I did it without that stuff. I will tell you, if I didn't have those systems in place, I couldn't have listed 15 homes this year and sell them. I just couldn't have done it. I could not have done it without those systems in place. So getting those systems when you become more successful, or getting someone to do your paperwork, your listing input, or your sales, really, I used to say that's I'm not going to pay someone to do that. Now it's probably the smartest thing I've ever done, because if I'm getting a listing and that's the highest dollar amount activity I do, if I'm not recruiting someone, then paying someone a few $100s to do the paperwork, it just makes sense.
Yeah. You can put that stuff in there. Like, I was talking to this one agent, and she was telling me, she was like, is there a transaction coordinator? Like, yeah, there's a transaction coordinator. I'm like, but you got to pay the person. She's like, ain't no problem. I just put in the paperwork.
Right.
She just put in the she's just right there in the paperwork. Like, hey, transaction fee, for transaction coordinator X, and then the buyer or the seller pays for it.
Right.
Just make it that simple. Like, you don't have to. It doesn't have to come out of your commission. It does, like, no. I always say, like, your real estate business runs how you want it to run. Correct. You just got to determine what's the best use for yourself, right?
Absolutely. And then when you look at successful people and you do things, you don't know things you don't know. When I came over, Jay and Michael were moving to Puerto Rico from Texas or Oklahoma, wherever I think Oklahoma. And I was like, why would these guys move to Puerto? Like, is it really that advantages and things like that? And again, this was I think 3 years ago now, give or take, right? I just come over and Al was telling me about this and blah blah blah. And they said, and today it's kind of a funny because a month ago I paid my taxes and I'm thinking, maybe moving to a province or wouldn't be so bad because we're paying the U.S. government, the IRS, a lot of money, which is fine. When you make money, you got to pay money, and that's okay. But when I thought about 3 years ago, I didn't have the mindset that when to do that. Now it's actually a thought of, hey, maybe I should get a place in Florida for the tax consequences, or maybe Puerto Rico or some other places. So it's just interesting when you're around like-minded individuals that are trying to help you. I can look up and I think I'm in a very unique position. I believe everyone in my 7 levels above me in our organization is an alpha, which means they all have 1,000 people or more in their organization. And when you can say that, it's really a unique concept. And when you look up and those are important things. You can look up and call 7 people directly that are responsible, saying, hey, can I help with this? And they'll be more than happy to help you with that stuff. And I think that's a huge, huge win. And that's not, as your career and other brokerages, that's not what it's like everywhere else.
Nah, man, it really isn't, man. Like having somebody that's gonna, that's connected with your success. I mean, that's really what it is. Like, it's one thing to, give some advice every now and then, but it's another thing for that person to be connected with your success. If you win, they win. So they're gonna make sure you have everything that you need in order for you to win. And but not only just for yourself, but it's contagious because once like you said, you're doing the same thing for your organization. You're everything that was put into you and everything that was given to you for you to be successful. Now you're passing along to everybody within your organization, and everybody wins. I mean, I'm a believer that I just think that agents either fail or succeed for one, basically fail for one reason, one or two reasons, right? Either you're doing the wrong thing or you're not doing the right thing long enough. I mean, that's pretty much that's my conclusion with it. All right. So I mean, if you, but that guide or that person that you have, that's like a mentor, they're going to be the ones that's going to be like, hey, no, keep going, or stop doing that and do something, and you need that, right? You need that
You
going
do,
on.
and this, by the way, this business isn't for everybody. As I look at data, I look at trends. There's 1.6 million realtors in the U.S. I mean, we got kind of bloated as an industry because the last 2 or 3 years, I mean, anyone could put a sign up and things would sell in multiples and 50 or 100,000 above ask, and that's not a typical market. Inventory was so low. COVID, I mean, there's a lot going on. I mean, now things are a little different. Things are changing a little bit more. Inventory still low, but we're not getting 20 offers in the first hour. Things go on the market. So you have to adapt your business. And if you're not smart and you don't look at things, I know a lot of realtors that I thought were smart people that weren't good with their money. They got a $10,000 check one month and they spent $12,000 the same month. Well, you got to, I've always told people that worked with me or my business partners, a third, a third, a third. You get a check for 10 grand, a third goes to taxes, a third goes to retirement, and a third you can spend. So if you're spending more than $3,000 on a $10,000 check, you're doing it wrong. And you're going to have a huge problem come tax time or the end of the year, or you'll be out of business. And you got to plan like that, because in our industry, because taxes are not taken out, as it looks like we're wealthy every time we sell a house, but that's not exactly the case. And sometimes you need 3 different bank accounts. I used to have 3. Now I'm a little bit better at it, but I used to have 3 separate bank accounts. One for taxes, and now I don't need to do that anymore. But you got to train yourself to do that, because if not, you'll fail, and you don't have to fail if you're smart.
Love it, man. Love it. Well, look, man, I appreciate you coming on. Everybody, if y'all ain't got nothing out of this, something wrong. You're not listening hard enough. But Nick, man, I appreciate your story, man. I appreciate your friendship, and everything that you're bringing to the industry in of itself. Once again, we do these every Thursday where we're interviewing agents that's killing it within their industry in order to provide tremendous value to the real estate agent. If anybody wants to know more about anything that Nick talked about, you can definitely reach out to him. If you want to know about, anything, we're both open book. We're both open and sharing. I mean, there's enough business out here for everybody. So like, we're not one of those folks to hold everybody down, but you can definitely reach out, saying you go to jameshmassey.com. You can look him up, Nick Devito. Nick, man, any departing words before we jump out of here, buddy?
No, my philosophy, eat that frog first thing in the morning, and the glass is not half full or half empty. The glass is refillable. Just remember that. Remember that for life. We only live one time. Let's have some fun. I look forward to seeing you in Orlando at Shareholders. I'll know we'll have maybe not as much fun as we did in Vegas, but I'm looking forward to it again. You know that.
Hey, it's never a dull moment when we get together, man. So, all right, man. To the
Thank you,
next
Jay.
one.
Thank you.